What's up, guys? Thank you for joining me. In this video, I'll be doing a deep structure comparison of Navy SEALs versus MARSOC, otherwise known as Marine Raiders, focused on selection pipelines and attrition, training schools, timelines, and syllabi highlights, physical demands and objective standards, and then we're going to talk about psychological selection, stressors, and training for resilience. How the different training emphasis shape each force's skills, mission strengths, and outcomes is something that we're going to focus on. What kind of strength do these groups really build after this kind of training and experience, and how can it be applied to civilian life? Let's talk about it and find out. I am the real Ronnie Douglas, and thanks again for joining me. Everyone has opinions on who the baddest and toughest special operations team on the planet is. Well, you can't even have that conversation without talking about these two teams. And of course, I'm talking about SEALs and MARSOC. I'm a former Marine, so of course, I have love for my Marines, but the skill level of SEALs is legendary, so let's take a look at how they stack up, okay? Now, the SEALs, which is the Naval Special Warfare, uses a highly maritime-centric pipeline built around BUDS to SQT to team. All right, BUDS is an intense 24-week filter with the iconic Hell Week, of course, that emphasizes endurance under hypothermia, sleep deprivation, swimming and diving, and small unit maritime direct action skills. So MARSOC, on the other hand, otherwise known as Marine Raiders, uses a staged assessment and selection to individual training course / Marine Raider course, which is ITC and MRC, and then on to unit pipelines, okay? A&S emphasizes functional fitness, rucking, swim basics, and team leadership, and evaluations constantly through the whole thing, okay? ITC MRC is a longer 9 to 10 month program that builds the multi-domain advisor capable Raider. Now, your SEAL training pushes maritime combat swimmer expertise and extreme short-term attrition filters, like Hell Week, right? Now, MARSOC places a more measured, multi-phase selection with explicit emphasis on skills for long-dwell advisor, foreign internal defense, and small unit integration. So the result is that both are elite, small unit soft, but with different cultural and operational emphasis and slightly different training to mission mappings, okay? So let's discuss the selection pipelines real quick, step by step, and their timelines to build a better picture for you guys, okay? The typical enlisted path for a SEAL begins with the initial screening called the SEAL Physical Screening Test, or PST. It's a swim, run, push-up, sit-up, pull-up combo that seems basic enough, but competitive times are expected to be well above the minimum, all right? Then it's on to BUDS, which stands for Basic Underwater Demolition SEAL Training, which I'm sure a lot of you guys already know that. It's 24 weeks long, and it's comprised of an orientation plus 3 phases: physical conditioning, combat diving, and land warfare. This includes the infamous Hell Week, which is 5.5 days of massive sleep deprivation and cold and wet exposure. Okay, it's like torture. Now, providing you live through BUDS, then you go to SEAL qualification training, or SQT, and follow-ons, which is medical training and advanced schools. This adds another 26 weeks to the process, guys, before you're even able to join a team fully qualified. The typical path for a Marine applying to be a critical skills operator, or which is a CSO or an SOO, begins with unit screening and recruiter checks. Assessment and selection, or A&S, runs in phases. A&S can be described as multiple weeks to a couple of months of formal assessment with a 10-week preparation guide recommended also. So A&S evaluates fitness, swim and ruck, and interpersonal attributes. At first glance, it looks like SEAL training is starting off a lot tougher. But next for the potential Raider is the individual training course, which is ITC or MRC. All right. Now, ITC MRC is officially described as a physically and mentally challenging 9-month course that produces the CSO or SOO. After ITC, there are follow-on SF-type schools and unit integration, things like that. So let's make a quick note of the attrition and selection style differences. SEALs historically show very high early attrition. Hell Week alone eliminates a large percentage, and historically there are large dropout rates during the BUDS phases, right? SEAL selection is brutally compressive. It's one intense short filter plus continuous attrition later. So MARSOC spreads their evaluation across A&S and then extended ITC. So selection is cumulative with competency gates and prolonged skills development. It's less one brutal week culture and more staged evaluation and training. All right, so now let's quickly go over the training schools and what each trains for. Now in BUDS, the BUDS phases are all about extreme physical conditioning, combat diving, and land warfare using small unit tactics. Hell Week is 5.5 days of brutal extreme conditioning, and its purpose is to bring someone out of you that quote unquote never quits. It's not about being the best one, guys. It's not about finishing first. It's about who can the team count on to complete the mission no matter the circumstances. SQT and follow-ons. It includes parachute training, advanced close quarters battle, sniper, breaching, advanced tactical medical, SO medical courses, and maritime specializations such as intense swimming and diving, small boat and shipboarding, that kind of training. Understand? Now, the MARSOC pipeline highlights from A&S are PFT levels, swim tests, ruck pace, resilience, and team and leader assessments the whole way through. Candidates get instruction on nutrition as well, which is cool, and performance, and they continually get evaluated by not only their team, but their leaders as well. So the ITC MRC highlights, they highlight combat medical, communications, recon tradecraft, direct action, foreign internal defense skills, cultural and linguistic baselines, and advanced small unit tactics. So this is all advanced schools. You understand? The difference in the standards is this. The SEAL PST typical minimums are as follows, but the candidates are expected to exceed the minimums as much as possible, right? So you have to do a 500-yard swim, right, under the water for you have to do a 500-yard swim in under 12 minutes and 30 seconds. But to be competitive, they want you to hit 9 minutes, okay? Then you got to do 50 push-ups in under 2 minutes, 50 sit-ups in under 2 minutes, 10 pull-ups, and a 1.5 mile run in under 10:30. During BUDS, there are progressively harder times of the PT test, and weekly swim and boat proficiency is included. All right, starting to trip over my words. Sorry about that. Mouth's getting dry. Now, MARSOC expects very high functional fitness, guys. They have huge high standards. The PFT scores have to be above baseline, and the candidates must have competent swimming, but the tests are framed around functional expeditionary fitness, like rucks, loaded movements, and repeated events, those kind of things. There's a psychological aspect of the selection and training that's very important, guys. Both groups are looking for resilience, stress tolerance, adaptability, and team orientation. They want moral and ethical decision-making and leadership under pressure and cognitive flexibility, okay, which is extremely hard to do. Acute stress inoculation is key, and Hell Week and continuous BUD stresses intentionally provoke extreme physiological and cognitive stress, all right? This reveals candidate persistence, okay? Reveals problem solving under fatigue and group dynamics. The MARSOC psychology behind it uses a method of measured competency-based assessment. So A&S and ITC evaluate traits across longer periods and explicitly incorporate training on resiliency, nutrition, recovery, and performance, okay? The model is less about a single brutal filter and more about sustained assessment of cognitive, social, and interpersonal fitness for like advisor roles where long-term cultural sensitivity and team integration matter, okay? So this is a long-term thing, all right? It's not just a, let's see how fucking tough you are in 1 week or, you know, whatever like that. So which one works better? Okay, which one works better? Staged pipelines like MARSOC's give more opportunities to train and correct deficits, whereas short, brutal filters reveal a subset who tolerate acute stress but may not predict every mission-relevant skill, okay? So how do the training differences shape the capabilities and mission results? The SEALs pipeline creates an exceptional maritime competence, okay? Underwater infiltration and exfiltration skills, extreme cold water tolerance, and rapid direct action unit cohesion under acute stress. We know this. SEALs are optimized for high tempo raids, maritime interdiction, and small team direct action, right? Okay. That requires fast, decisive physical execution. All right. BUDS is an intense short filter, also produce tight, high trust teams because selection is brutal and survivors have shared hardship. Right? When you have that kind of shared hardship with your team, it creates a more cohesive unit, right? That's why these guys stick together the way they do. Now, the downside of the SEAL training is the intense acute selection may underweight longer-term advisory skills and language and cultural training in the initial pipeline, okay? So the physical style is also more niche, which will require additional training for other mission sets. Okay. Now, the MARSOC pipeline ensures raiders are trained for multi-domain small unit operations, plus extended partnerships and advisory roles. The longer ITC emphasizes a broader skill set and sustained operational endurance with like loaded movement, which is useful for long dwell missions and working alongside partner forces. Okay, so if you have to occupy an area for a while, you're going to be better suited. Because MARSOC selection is less about extreme aquatic specialization, raiders may rely on extra training for complex maritime and dive tasks compared to the SEALs, okay, because they don't get that right up front. But they compensate with a broader expeditionary and partner skill set. So the bottom line is this: both communities produce highly capable SOF, but the SEALs trend more toward maritime direct action specialists with extreme acute stress hardening, while Marine Raiders trend toward multi-skill, partner-oriented operators with longer competency-based development, okay? Those are the main differences, guys. But a big point that I want to make is that no matter the team, the reason they succeed is about what the training builds, not the training itself. Do you understand? Now, operators, they have a belief system that gives them almost superhuman abilities to adapt and overcome to anything, okay? The impossible only becomes possible when you believe. Alexander the Great was a 5'5" alcoholic bisexual with emotional issues, but he almost conquered the whole known world at the time. Why? Because he believed he could. He grew up thinking his father was a god and he was part god. His belief was so unshakable that he was able to conquer pretty much everything. Imagine for a second, guys, what you could accomplish if you just believed that you could, like truly believed that you could. You have to know at the end of the day that you are the ultimate power in your life. Only you can stop you, and you're also the only one that can convince yourself you're strong enough to handle anything, okay? Strength begins with your mind, and the body follows the mind, so you got to check your mindset, okay? That's why operators are as strong as they are. That's why they can handle what they can handle, is because they have a true belief that they can. The training assists in that belief. You see what I mean? It creates, grows, and extends that belief. So you have to figure out how you can apply that same type of belief. All right. Thank you guys for joining me today. And I hope that you found some value here in this video, guys. I'll see you back here next time. And until then, always be growing stronger.